we started the very traditional way. So the entrepreneur's best friend is his bond from a funding perspective, and that's the way my partner and myself bought into the business, was through raising the funds through our own cash capability. So in that case, the bank did help us, but they were well securitized at that point. And we grew the business, and like Karen, made all the classic mistakes that you're supposed to avoid, and you only learn them once you've made. And typically bootstrapped the business by selling, using some of those funds to deploy to product development. Our business is in software development, essentially. We have a product that we sell on the international market. And with any kind of technology organization, there's continual R&D input. So some people think it's reasonably inexpensive once you've developed it, because your cost of reproduction is zero, almost zero. But the cost of maintaining that intellectual property and advancing it, it's a continual drag on an organization. And like Karen, we were very loath to look at equity partners at a very early stage for two reasons. One, I don't think in the post-internet bubble burst, people were that well disposed to companies that were developing software. And two, we were worried about the valuation metrics of a company that was unprofitable and was turning over a couple of R100,000 a month. And we also looked to government funding. So this is another interesting thing, is we were able to successfully raise 2 rounds of SPI funding. Now I'm not suggesting that SPI is the easiest group to raise from, but it is an accessible group, and it's funding that, depending on the program that you participate in, is grant funding. There are obviously some obligations on where the IP sits post the development activity, but it is inexpensive capital to access. But it's not capital that you can use to build your business, because you only receive 50% typically of your contributions at the end of the project that you're able to claim back. So it's important to note that the funding that Karen's referring to in the SPI, you need to be able to have sufficient funds to develop the product to that point before you can claim against any of those milestones. And after 2 successful claims, we were in a position to look for commercial VC funding. And the one thing I want to echo is, don't look for money when you need it. Start developing the relationships with the VC community long before you need it, because it's going to take a long time before you get the funding. And like Kieran alluded to, make sure your business is structurally sound so that you're able to accept that funding and that there are very few eyebrows raised in terms of your books, the financial structures of your organization, and the management team associated with that. So those were some of the lessons that we learned. With the SPI programs, from the time you put your application in to be funded is the time that the clock starts ticking in terms of applicable expenses that you're able to recover. So if you do choose a program like it, get your applications in very quickly, and set tight milestones, especially if you've got a short project timescale like you have of 8 months, so that you don't have to put up 800,000 rand to get 400,000 rand back, or whatever the case might be.